Zachor, says the Torah. Remember. And if you do, you'll know what's to come. It is Parshas Zachor that is this week. It is the second preparatory parsha before the spring month of Nisan is ushered in. Out of these Daled Parshios, we've already had Shekalim that brought with it the idea of communal responsibility and obligation to bring what you can and to know that you are also only part of a whole. And now we're up to Parshas Zachor, which is to remember. Out of the Daled Parshios, we still have yet to come the idea of purity, spiritual white serenity, Tahara, that will come in Parshas Parah, before we have that message of be new, Hachodesh, be new, as we start the month of Nisan. But before we get there, we must debate and understand the matter at hand, which is that this Shabbos your schedule will change. When you come home from shul for your herring and scotch, you will be delayed because your wife will walk back, your mother will walk back, your aunt will walk back, whoever it is that you're with will walk back to shul to hear from the Baal Koreh's mouth, reading from the Holy Torah scroll, all about how Amalek attacked the Jewish people. Everybody goes to hear the Parsha this week. It's a mitzvah d'oraisa. Parshas Zachor brings with it, say the sages, such a weighty and important and pressing idea that must be known in the hearts and minds of Jewish people, men or women, that even one word of it that you fail to hear, one little word, miss an iota of its lesson, and you have fumbled and muffed this mitzvah d'oraisa. One word. That's how paramount and institutional, foundational the mitzvah of Zachor is. And it's important to note that as we do take the step forward towards the month of Nisan, and we did get the lesson of communal obligation, we now take our first step forward, which is coming to greet us with a look over the shoulder of looking back. Zachor, look back. What are we looking back to see? Well, we look back to see that when we were a fledgling, small Jewish nation, being led out of Egypt by Hachodesh Baruch Hu and his trusted Eved Ne'eman Moshe Rabbeinu with his staff held high, the nation was fledgling. The nation still wet behind the ears, but godly inspired and brave and bought in. And it was right then that Amalek came like a blitzing linebacker, the blitzkrieg type of warfare, blindsiding Klal Yisrael in the desert, coming from tens of miles away as a nation, the semi-nomadic, bloodthirsty nation with nothing to gain. Did Amalek come with nothing to gain? No territory to take from the Jews. Nothing. Except for the will and lust of the death of godliness in the world. They traveled from the Negev, from where they were, coming down to where the Jews were, the Israelites, and they wage war. They do despicable things to the Jews. But the sages, Chazal, they tell us what we need to look back and remember. We're to look back and remember why that happened and what happened, and then to take from that. Torah means to instruct, to take from that and infer the future. and to understand what you should do today or not do today or not do tomorrow based on the consequences or the outcomes of decisions made earlier. So, I ask you, why did Amalek come? Why then? Why there? The Torah tells us. You don't need to guess. The sages aptly put it. Vayavay Amalek, Amalek comes, and with this I'd like to string together the most common denominator that we find in Amalek to then impress upon your mind this one yesod that keeps rearing its angry and evil head when it comes to the time and fights of Amalek, to understand it in a mature light and then take from it a lesson to live our lives with. Why did Amalek come? Vayavay Amalek vayilochem im Yisrael be'Rafidim. Chazal say they came to us in Rafidim. Vayavay Amalek, says Rashi, Somach Parshas zu lemikra zeh. This pasuk of Vayavay Amalek is juxtaposed to a pasuk before it, Loimar, to tell us, Tamid ani beinechan umezuman l'chol tzarchechem, va'atem oimrim hayesh Hashem b'kerbeinu im oyin. God, he says to the Jewish people with a sense of wonderment, Thus saith the Lord, I am ever among you. I'm ready at hand for everything that you may need. And yet, the pasuk right before this, and yet, what did the Jewish people say in the pasuk before this? Hayesh Hashem b'kirbeinu im oyin. The Jewish people were complaining. If God was really with them. Is God really with us? Did God take us out here to die? That was what the Jews just finished saying in the pasuk before Amalek. They were complaining, a lack of water. How could it be? God saved us. He did all these miracles, and now all of a sudden we don't have water? They were bewildered. They had this doubt. Is God really going to pull through? I don't know. Hayesh Hashem b'kirbeinu im ayin is the underlined phrase. Is the Lord among us or not? It was doubt. It was a doubt, continues Chazal and continues Rashi, that led to Vayavay Amalek. Continues this Chazal, Chayechem. I'll show you. You doubt? You're unsure if I'm really here? You look around after all that I've done for you and you say, where's Daddy? Chayechem, you'll learn this lesson. You'll learn it now, that I don't want you, young boy, to run in the street. I'm going to give you the strict lesson now because I'm trying to help you. Jewish people, you ask, am I here after all that I've done? Chayechem. By your lives. Amalek will come. He'll bite you. And then you'll cry for me. And then you'll see that I'm here. Then you'll trust that I'm here and you'll know that I'm here. But it's to address doubt. Amalek comes specifically when a Jew says, Hayesh Hashem b'kirbeinu im ayin, is God really with me? When he doubts God, when he doubts if God is with him, that's when Amalek comes. Is the Lord among us? If one whispers that, if one thinks that, one can expect a ravenous nation to not be far behind. It's not just here that Chazal say this lesson about Amalek. Zachor is asher asol Amalek baderech batzeitzchem mimitzrayim. In Sefer Devarim, when we're rehashing the commandment to remember what Amalek did, over there also, Rashi picks up, brings a Chazal, explains to us why it is that this pasuk that talks about Amalek is juxtaposed to the pasuk that right is before it, that's discussing perfect and just weights, that when you are weighing out the precise cost of something as a client or a vendor. You're to be honest and just in your scales and in your business. Right after that, does the pasuk discuss the commandment of Amalek? Again, says Rashi, Im shokarta bamidos uva mishkalos. There's a connection here. When does Amalek come? If you should lie about your measurements, if you should be unjust, try to steal and scoop to heap more money onto your own pile unjustly, take shefa from Shemayim that is not justly yours, not earned honestly, then have a doeg migurei ha'oyev. You should be afraid from attacking nations. Now, it never dawned on me to think about what is behind this chazal. Until this week that I tried to think about this podcast and see if I could find what's at the source of Amalek. And once I saw clearly that it's about doubt, that chazal show us that Amalek comes when you doubt God, it hit me here too. It's the same thing. Why does a person lie about his business and try to steal more for himself? He does it for the same reason. Because he doubts if God is with him. He doubts if tomorrow God is going to take care of him. He has doubt, is God truly with me? The mortgage is coming. But I don't know. God, I don't see you. Why do you lie about your weights? Because you say the same thing of Hayesh Hashem Bekirbeinu Im Ayim. Is God really with me? You doubt God? Amalek, you have to be afraid, is on the march towards your camp. Bechoros, Daf Hey, V'oid Sha'altov, my Lashon Rafidim. The Gemara wants to know the funny name of the city that the Jews were in when they were attacked was Rafidim. Is there any extra depth behind that? Rabbi Eliezer, Armer, Rafidim Shema. Rabbi Eliezer says, no, it's just the name of a town. That's where they were. Rabbi Yeshua argues. Rabbi Yeshua Aimer, there is depth behind this moniker. Sherifu atzmayim divrei Torah. Klal Yisrael became lax with regards to the upholding of the holy law. Why does somebody become lax? Amalek attacked when the Jews were in Rafidim. Why does somebody become lax in Rafidim? Why does somebody start to dwindle in their commitment and conviction? It is only because they have doubts, because they have second guesses. That's what it means to dwindle, to grow weak. It means that you have a grasp on something. You're connected to it. You've taken that leap, but now you start to lose a grip. That's called doubt. You're not uncertain. You are certain, but yet now you are second guessing. That is called doubt. Doubt comes after certainty. Doubt comes after a decision. Doubt comes from analysis paralysis when you've already made up your mind and you know what is correct, but yet still you start to second guess yourself because you're unsure, unfaithful. And instead of being unbroken, you start to question. To be misupik, to have your doubts. That feeling of conviction, uncertainty. The internal pause, the paralyzing of, wait a second, is this actually true? Am I sure that I am doing the right thing? Then, when you ask yourself that, the sharks, the great white sharks with their long, fanged, and sharpened teeth, they can smell the blood in the water. The Jew, look at him. He's already unsure. He's a prime and ripe case for attack. Like the swimmer off the coast of the Pacific, where you can view the shark from underneath the swimmer. He sees the human legs dangling there, and as he swims at a record 50 miles per hour, digging his teeth, his fangs into the human flesh, that is how Amalek views doubt, suffix. And for the capstone cherry on top, you can imagine this is coming. It turns out that Amalek actually has the same gematria as the word suffix, the word doubt. They both have the numerical value of 240. Asher karcha baderech, you'll hear this week. Asher karcha baderech, they happened on the way. What does it mean, karcha? Again, the same motif, continuum, ad nauseum, understanding of the most common denominator of when to expect Amalek. Everything is a mikra, it's a happenstance, it just happened to be. Maybe you're not godly, maybe God's not with you. When you ask, Hayesh Hashem b'kirbeinu im ayin, that's when there's blood in the water. You must shake off the doubts. You must know if you've decided that you've made up your mind, then there must be an unbreakable will to continue down that path. And this is a rantable material because it's backwards. Because Bizman Hazeh, it seems that we struggle not in decision making, for we know in our heart of hearts our decisions and what is just. Deep down, we all know our obligations. Do you not? Do you not know what you're capable of? Do you not know what your Shabbos table could and should look like? Do you not know the honesty and in the integrity in which you should conduct your business with? Do you not know the spiritual purity and the self-control that you could and should have? Don't say no. You know what you are capable of. But what stands in the way? What is the Achilles heel? Is it our decision making? Is it a lack of understanding? We need more knowledge? No. It is the stick-to-itiveness. It is the, wait a second, why is it so hard? Am I really supposed to be doing this? We get second-guessy. We get doubtful. We have our Hayesh Hashem b'kirbeinu im ayin moments when it gets hard and we give up. We give in to Amalek. When it's precisely the opposite. We start to argue to ourselves, if it was supposed to happen, why is it so hard? If I'm supposed to be building this Mishkan of Hashem in my house, why is it so hard? Why is it so hard to give this thing up? Must be Hashem doesn't want me to do it, we'll say. Backwards. It is precisely because it is hard. And Hashem wants to reward you. And Hashem wants to see what you're made of. That it is hard. And that it shows you that it is the right way. But instead we just say, yeah, but what if this is actually not right? But what if? Hayesh Hashem b'kirbeinu im ayin. And we go back to misbalancing our checkbooks. The mishkolos. And then Amalek comes. The uncertainty. The second doubts. It's not a new problem. The first person to shry from this second doubt cancer, second thoughts, analysis, paralysis, doubting of Amalek. I want to be clear here, though. It's not that Amalek is suffix. I want to suggest and clarify from here that Amalek comes and is attracted to when a yid starts to doubt himself and his ship gets rocky, it's then that the yin needs to shake himself awake and then settle himself with a stern spine and vertebrae and continue down the path without second-guessing himself and folding like a cheap lawn chair. Amalek comes when there is the suffix. It's after that we ask Hayesh Hashem b'kir beinu im ayin. That's when Amalek comes like the cancer. It was the Ramban who first yelled about this. The Ramban asked a powerful question in Beshalach. How could it be that the Jews are screaming, Hashem, save us, where are you? Vayitzaku el Hashem. The Ramban wants to know. I don't get it. Are the Jews believers or not? It's in Pasuk Yud, right before the Jews go through the water and sing Shira. It seems like they have this moment of doubt. The Ramban doesn't get it. This people just followed God into the great unknown. They believed and now they don't believe. Says the Ramban, every word gold. Ve'efshar od lomar. Ki hayu ha'am ma'aminim b'Hashem. U'mispalo lemei lav lahatzilam. They're davening. They're believers. Avo b'Moshe nichnas safik b'libam. Maybe Moshe. Maybe he took us out here. Pen yotziam limshal aleya. Maybe Moshe just brought us out here because he wants to be our new ruler. A doubt. And all those miracles he did. Maybe he's just a good magician. They had a different doubt. Maybe God brought the miracles and these destruction upon the Egyptians, not in our merit, but because the wickedness of the Mitzvah. All these thoughts come flooding back to Klal Yisrael. Why is Hashem making it that the enemy's coming back? It came back a suffix belibam. The doubt that Moshe has to settle them. Calm down. Remain quiet. Hashem yilochem lachem. V'atem tacharishun. Be quiet. Watch the show. Have some faith. The doubt, the second guessing is what causes Amalek to come and what breaks our commitments. When you hear the sermon from the great Baal Koreh's lips this week of Zachor, remember, look back. What should you look back and recall? You should recall that Amalek came and that it's a commandment for us to blot out the memory of them. And you should remember the lesson of always destroying Amalek. How do you do that? By taking the lesson of Amalek and looking back and seeing that Amalek comes when a Jew doubts his God. Amalek comes when a Jew second guesses what he knows is already the truth. Amalek comes when a person lacks the conviction and the faith to do what he knows is right. When there's blood in the water, that's when the great white, evil, sinister shark of Amalek comes. For us, the lesson is being preached to steady yourself and to remain calm and to know that your faithfulness in Hashem and your steadfastness in doing what's right, trusting in God, even though it is a moment of distress, that's how you fight back against Amalek. That's how you scoop the blood out of the water and keep it clean so no sharks come. And that's how you keep Amalek at bay. Amalek is suffix. Amalek is attracted to doubt. And this is the lesson. This is what we are to remember. To see, trust in Hashem. Trust in your correct decision. Stay the course. Don't second guess if you know and you've clarified and you've asked and you've discerned and you understand what is right. Stay the course. Stay strong. This is the most common denominator and the lesson that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to take and wants us to see. When we hear the words this Shabbos of Timche es Zachor Amalek mitachas hashamayim lo tishkach.
Kilam kedoshim